Welcome to the scene. 757 locals only.
We'll be right back.
And then the little music plays.
Okay.
Which by the way, I wrote and
we're not live right now.
All right.
Well, there we go. Back. By the way, what
All
was
right.
that? Hold on. I gotta ask you a question. That little jingle, that song. What is that, by the
I
way?
don't know. What is that?
I don't know. Where did you get it
I
from?
know. It's Spanish. I know that.
Is it?
It's
I recorded
called-
that at my house.
Did
last
you?
weekend.
Did you?
Oh, that's awesome.
I wonder if it would ever be nominated for a Beer Music Award.
Spanish Moon.
Oh, no. Anyway, listen, guys, we are super excited to have one of my favorite people on the show today, outside of our co-host, Sandy Archer, Mr. Troy Breslow, live
Yes,
with us.
welcome.
And Troy, well, I don't even know where to start with this because you and I have been friends for a minute, and I've always dug your music, and I like what you do, and we will dive into that a little bit more as things go on. But I'm going to ask Sandy if she's got anything she would like to kind of direct to Troy.
So Troy, since I know nothing, and I mean zero, and not even your real name.
We didn't do their homework.
I know. I didn't do the homework. I know that he wears a hat, so I'm thinking he's country-ish, but what would you call your genre of music?
I play country music. for sure.
Country. All right. It's all country. Awesome.
I guess I don't look like it all the time, but I don't know. Everybody looks like themselves nowadays, you know. So
There you go.
kind of,
And by the way, what is country anyway?
Yeah, what is
Right? What is
your
whatever?
version
Yeah,
of
where do we
country?
start? Even start with that
idea.
topic?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
where do we go with
I don't
that? Yeah.
I mean,
It's like-
who's some of your favorite country artists that you have followed that made you want to do country?
made me want to do. I don't know if anything made me want to do country.
Right?
I think it kind of just happened. I started playing country music kind of. I was playing at Haas's Deli one time in Newport News for a benefit, and I was like 16 or 18 years old. I don't remember how old I was. I was really young, and there was this guy named Tony Bob Merritt that was there running sound for me, and he told me that I should sing Hank Williams songs because I have the voice for it. And so I started singing Hank Williams songs. A couple years before that, actually, there's a song on my latest record called Thunder Down the Road, and that is the first song I ever wrote that was any good. I did not know it was a country song at the time. I walk into Starbucks and show the barista a demo of it, and they say, "Hey, that's pretty good for country." So
Interesting.
I was always trying to be a folk singer. I'm a folk singer at heart. You know what I mean? I'm
We
all
had-
about folk music.
We had this conversation about your love of Bob Dylan, our influence of Bob Dylan.
Oh yeah, and everybody and all his descendants.
People who influenced him, and we had a conversation one day about Johnny Cash or some kind of tie-in with Cash or something.
Oh yeah.
We did have a conversation one day. And by the way, tell us where you are. Excuse me, where you're from.
Oh, I'm from. Where am I from?
Did you say East
we don't know. Where are
Virginia?
you
I'm from East Virginia.
Which is
Virginia.
Okay.
You know, that's the country bluegrass expression for it. But
Like Eastern Shore or
no, like Hampton Roads. I'm
Oh,
from Hampton
okay.
Roads.
Okay.
I say I'm from Hampton Roads because I've lived all over the area. I grew up down here. I went to high school in Yorktown, and I bebopped from Yorktown to Smithfield, all of Isle of Wight, Williamsburg. I live in Newport News now, which is a great hub for touring.
You can jump on the interstate and be anywhere in the news, providing the traffic's cool, right?
Yeah. Don't take 664 at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say that. Thank you for coming out on a Monday
Yeah, man.
in traffic
All the
to be
way
here all the
over
way
here.
from,
Yes.
So
Thank you.
we're very fortunate the fact you would do that. And of course, Musician Monday usually is our day off, and you and I had this conversation earlier. There is no such thing as a day off. In the
Yeah, I
music
know.
business.
Well, I don't know. I'm usually barbecuing on Mondays. Speaking of which, I did bring you something.
Oh my gosh!
Every
Do
once
we
in a
have any?
while.
Hold on, before you break that out. Troy is an avid smoker, and when I say that, kids, I'm not talking about your Delta 8 or anything illegal here or your homegrowns. I'm talking about smoked meats, and I think you may have some images of those. His latest smoke on that you're getting ready to post here real quick or show real quick, and we will talk more about this. By the way, he's got a little treat for me. What do you have in the bag over there?
I have a little bit of kosher pulled pork,
Oh,
and it's only kosher because
you blessed it.
I blessed it. No, I'm kidding. It's definitely not kosher.
Brother,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Thank you
Yes,
so
sir.
much. And he and I had this conversation earlier. By the way, that's at least a 4-finger bag or what we used to do in high school.
I would
or
say there's about five
Yeah,
sandwiches in there.
we
6 sandwiches.
So you and I are so when you smoke a pork butt or shoulder, if you will, you make enough to vacuum seal and your food saver, and the fact you're sharing it with a friend is sharing the art of the smoke.
Yeah, man.
And as you said earlier, tell us a little bit about this as far as
Honestly,
270. We talk temperature. We talk you in your homemade sauce. Go ahead.
well, like I don't know. I think it's like the first thing I've been really passionate about as far as a hobby since I started playing music for a living. And I talked about when you're a country musician, you eat a lot of barbecue. I don't know if it's a most musicians thing, but I play a lot
Virginia
of
thing.
I
I think
play
it's synonymous.
I play a
Yeah.
lot of barbecue joints. And there's always like a barbecue food truck. Shout out to Pitt County Barbecue.
Pitt County, Q dog. Mm-hmm.
I love him, man. Great saxophone player.
Yes,
too.
he is.
And I've just always been about it, you know. And I talk to a lot of cooks. Like since I bought my smoker,
Right.
I've been talking to everybody I can just to find out how to do this stuff right.
Pick the brains, right?
Yeah.
Pick the brain a little bit. It's almost like almost like seeing that guy plays guitar, and you're like, how did you get so good?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of the same thing.
It's honestly the same. It's
Yeah.
weirdly, I'm kind of in shock and awe of just like the amount of like how into it I am. You know what I mean?
I did. By the way, I did.
Like it's always been about music.
See, when I told you about cooking and musicians,
Tell Troy.
this
Tell
is
Troy.
that-
Did you
that's
mention
funny you say
the?
that.
I always
too, yeah.
wanted to have a rock and roll cooking show.
Right?
So, right. And always.
Right?
Always.
Because every musician that I've known really likes to cook.
There's a
They like
passion.
to cook. It's a creative
would it be
outlet,
like-
just like being a musician.
Would it be like celebrity guest musicians?
Yeah.
Battle of the Stars kind of thing?
Battle. Yeah.
Oh my
We
God.
would do all kinds of cool stuff. And it would be local. It wouldn't be,
And invite people in. By the way, that's my cooler. You have the camera on, which is fine, but I was going to put this in there. The good news is, since it's frozen, it's not going to thaw out
It's gonna stay that frozen for a
anytime
while.
soon. Yes,
Yeah.
the vacuum sealer is a beautiful
And good
thing.
thing I'm a vegetarian, or I'd be really offended.
I think I'm a vegetarian about 1 month out of the year. No, seriously.
Well, I'm a pescatarian.
Are you?
Yeah, I hate pests too.
Yeah.
They piss me off.
Yeah, man.
I went through a weird vegetarian kosher phase last summer.
Oh.
Okay. Well, you did no smoke. You did no.
I wasn't actually. I took about a year off from grilling entirely when I moved to Newport News. I just wasn't doing it as much. And then what was I doing? I was helping Mike Belmar.
By the way, Mike Belmar, we'll have just a little
Yeah.
sidebar on the Mike Belmar, who used to be in a band when I saw him as a drummer by the name of Cloudy Days. And we're talking about early influence on we're talking like mid 90s and Cloudy Days with Paul
80s,
Warren.
dude.
Oh God. Paul Warren. Well, early. Yeah. So I was
Yeah,
just
late 80s, early
late-
90s,
yeah.
something like that.
the Casual Clam. I used to watch him, Paul Warren, and Pudgy Hill just play some of the best blues I've ever heard in my life. But anyway, so Mike
Yeah,
Belmar,
he's my
who's the
drummer. He's been with us for, it's been like 4 years now.
Okay.
On and off. And see, we're like a family. We always help each other out with stuff. If you need to put a side view mirror on your 2015 Honda Odyssey, you call up Mike and say, "Hey, I need to put a side view mirror on my 2015 Honda Odyssey."
That sounds like this has
come
happened.
over, yeah.
This has happened.
Well, I did it myself, but you catch my drift.
yeah.
One day,
Not a truck? Me.
I drive a minivan.
Minivan's a
I
tour
mean, a
bus.
tour bus. Excuse
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
Tour
yeah.
bus.
Tour bus. Come on.
I understand.
Yeah, I drive a. I love that thing. It's great. I put so much work into that van. It's the one Honda you shouldn't buy. Don't do it.
You hear that, Honda?
Anyway.
Hashtag Honda. He needs a free one.
Send
He needs a free
send
one.
him you're right.
Yeah,
Send him
yeah.
a
I need
free one.
I need a Ford Transit 350. Thank you.
Oh. But anyway, so back to Mike
so I was at
Bella.
Mike. Mike lost his fence during that one big storm we had, which I was driving to a gig to. I was driving down here from Newport News, and I swear to God, I was in the middle of a tornado. But you remember the storm I'm talking about?
Was that the one where the tornadoes hit over in?
Yeah.
Yeah, they hit in Great Neck actually.
So
Tore
Mike's
apart a bunch of
fence
homes.
just went to crap, and so I was in charge of the burn pile, and I just spent all day burning Mike's fence. And after we got done, it was me, Mike, Paul Warren,
What?
our bass player. Well, Mike and Paul are best friends, and they have been for 40 years.
And burning.
Yeah, well, we were just taking out the old fence,
Wow.
and I was in charge of the burn pile. And then Dave, our bass player, Dave Scudder, down at the end. Yeah, we were all just hanging out, getting rid of this fence together.
That is a family.
Yeah, we take care of each other, man. We're not just, we're a lot more than a band. You
I
know?
like that.
So do you only do originals, or do you do?
Oh,
or
no,
do you
we-
mix in some
I
covers.
play a
or-
lot of covers,
Okay.
but I feel like I'm not really, we're not a cover band though, you know?
Right.
We got nominated by a local music awards called Beer. You might have heard of it.
Beer.
Yeah.
Beer
yeah.
music.
They-
Yep. Jeff
yeah,
Macy.
Beer.
Yep.
And we were nominated for Cover Band of the Year at one point.
What?
All right.
It was funny. Hopefully Jeff doesn't see this, but
Ah.
love you, Jeff.
Oh.
Hi, Jeff.
My
Facebook friend Jeff.
but you know, and it's kind of funny because a couple years prior to that, I won Country Artist of the Year.
That was where I was going to go.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was nominated for Album of the Year and Song of the Year. So how I wound up
Oh.
in the cover band category, I will never know.
Nominated. Nomination. That you're
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
nominated.
yeah. I
Some
was.
people
I
do
was.
that. Some people do
But
like
I
it.
would have much rather been in the country category.
Right. That's okay. That's
but,
okay.
It's all good. This past year, I was nominated for Folk Artist of the Year with Pandemic Blues and EP of the Year with Pandemic Blues.
Pandemic
So-
Blues, by the way, if you
Pandemic
haven't
Blues.
checked it out, I think there's a still he's going to show real quick, possibly.
Should have brought a CD. To,
Pandemic
yes.
Blues. Yep.
you can get CDs of it on troybreslow.com/merch.
Yeah.
Oh, did it come up as I said that?
Yeah.
Awesome.
There
And
you
by the
go.
way, he's
Yeah.
also got some
There you
incredible
go.
merch. Somewhere you owe me a T-shirt if you've got a double XL, for the guns, only the guns,
Only the- oh,
not
man.
the belly.
I
But
think I'm going to throw up right here. in the interview.
anyway, no, I'm just saying the Breslow tee. By the way, I love his merch and his guitar picks. Do you have a pick on you? Do you
Do I
have a
have a
Breslow
pick on
pick?
me?
I'm going to steal it.
I don't have
right
a
here.
pick on me.
Oh, I called you
I
out.
literally, so I
Okay.
asked Brian on the way here if I needed to bring a guitar,
We said no.
and so I purposefully
We
brought
should have
nothing.
had you bring. We should have had you.
Well, it feels really good to show up to a thing involving my music without involving my music. You know,
There
what I'm
you
saying?
go.
I always
Well, we're
bring my
glad then.
picks. No, it's all good. He does. He has the
Days
best
off
picks.
or days off, man.
Oh,
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. So that brings us. When's your next gig? Where's that?
Oh,
My next gig down here.
or anywhere, but
Okay,
2
well-
days from now.
Down here on Wednesday, we're going to be at Catch 31 with the full band.
Catch
Yes.
31
31st
right
Yeah.
down
stage,
here.
yeah.
Yes. You guys need to
And,
check
uh,
him out.
Or the little
The gazebo.
Yeah.
gazebo.
Yeah.
The little
31st
gazebo.
Street stage,
31st Street.
gazebo,
Yeah,
And it's
Um,
full band.
full band.
Nice.
Yep.
that's a great stage.
And you
So-
perform both ways, obviously. You have solo acoustic and with full band, which would consist of how many members in our instrumentation?
So it tends to vary just based on everybody's availability. Usually Mike and Dave are always with me.
Gotcha.
They're my rhythm section. Dave Scudder, he's my bass player. He grew up in Smithfield as a young man, and then he moved to San Francisco, lived there for about 40 years. He moved back, and I hired him immediately because he was a friend of our banjo player at the time. And it was about the same time I moved back to Nashville, too. And
Oh, you went to Nashville.
I did. And then Mike Belmar's on drums. Mike started out filling in for us a few years ago. And during COVID, COVID kind of happened. And then the band just changed, Everybody went on to do different things. And we brought Mike in because we knew him. And it's been great. So then sometimes we'll have a guitar player. Ben Lasser's done a lot of work with us.
Yeah, he's great.
He's one of my best friends, dude.
Yeah.
Zach Motes will play keys from time to time with us. Dharma Initiative. He actually co-produced Politics and Road Rage with me.
Politics and Road Rage.
My first record.
I like that.
That just the name of the record alone.
Me too.
And,
Politics and Road Rage.
But our main fourth guy right now is a fellow from Tappahannock, a guy named Andrew Magruder playing fiddle and mandolin.
Oh, love mandolin.
And he's a good friend of mine.
Fiddle and mandolin.
Fiddle and mandolin. Yep.
This is the kind of authenticity we're talking about to the sound of what Troy is writing about. And by the way, I do want to talk about that. I kind of almost want to segue transition wise into lyrical content of what he does and what he writes. First time I met you, I just happened to be by happenstance at New Realm, and I'm sitting there with a friend of mine watching you play, and you're singing a song called "When I Was a Jedi."
Used to be a Jedi.
Used to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Used to be a Jedi. And I'm listening to it as it's taking me through this story of a maze of sorts. And I didn't know about your life at camp. Am I correct? Was it a camp that you went, or when you were young?
I was just obsessed with Star Wars.
As a kid, yeah. And then after that,
God, you weren't supposed to say that on the air.
No, sorry.
That's okay.
All right, and then there was God Sends Angels.
Yeah.
Which was I love just that chorus anyway, but also the lyric, the verses, and by the way, not only playing guitar, he's playing harmonica and doing multiple different things, arranging a song and just sounding incredible. But what was your inspiration behind God Sends Angels? I mean, what was that kind of?
I like telling the story. It's one of my favorite stories.
Oh God, okay, I didn't know that. Sorry, no idea.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear it.
So I have a song called Angels, or God Sends Angels. I'm not sure.
Okay.
It hasn't been recorded yet, and it probably
hasn't been recorded.
No, it should have been. You could find versions of it on YouTube though. Yeah, we're still working out the title. So when I was a younger man, about 9 years ago, I got my first job at Farm Fresh over in Chesapeake. I worked at the Orchard Square location.
What?
Yep. Over by
I lived over there for
Plantation Lakes.
Yeah, exactly where it's at. Yeah.
And man, we had some great people working at that store. It was fun. I miss those days. But this guy came through my line who weirdly looked like a scraggly version of my grandfather on my mom's side, who died when I was 4.
Okay.
And he had his wife with him. And I've always been a spitting image of my grandfather too, so it could have been me from the future for all I know. Anyway, just a hunch. He comes through my line, I hand him his change back, and I say, "Have a great day." And he says, "Have a great life." And so I get chills just talking about this. No.
I just made me stop there.
But then I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." And he was like, "No, you have to promise me right now you're going to live a great life." And
right here in the line.
And then for years I was thinking about this concept about, like, I've always kind of, ever since then, and especially, I've always believed angels appeared through tough times, and like people are there for a reason, and I've just been very lucky that whenever I've needed things the most, something's come through. You know what I mean? Whether, it's like a religious standpoint of God or not, I've always believed in God. I believe God is there whether you believe in him or not, or her, whatever you want to call
Right.
Judaism, we have a very open-minded view of God.
By the way, he is, yeah.
And I was in my apartment in Nashville, Tennessee, and I finally threw it down to write a song
about that incident.
Huh.
While you were a cashier? Were you a cashier?
I was not a cashier. I was a full-time musician at that point.
Okay.
But that happened when I was a cashier.
Okay.
And during my tenure at Farm Fresh, and I worked at several locations. We moved to Yorktown at one point, my family and I worked at the Grafton one. And I've always been so blessed, like, to experience so many different people coming through the checkout lines. Yeah. You know what I mean?
No.
There was this one lady too who I knew two of my grandparents, my grandfather on my mom's side, died when I was 4. And then my grandmother on my dad's side who died when I was 13. And Grandma Anita was literally like, just looking back in hindsight, probably one of the most calm parts of my childhood that ever existed. And every once in a while, somebody will slightly look like her, and I'll just break down and cry. And there was this one lady that used to come through my line in the Yorktown Farm Fresh who just kind of resembled her every now and then. And I was still living at home at the time, and there were a lot of problems at home then, during that time, and things like that just always kind of got me through. Especially like I always feel like I quit Farm Fresh way too late to do this. You know what I mean?
Like you should have been doing it sooner.
It took me a long time to see what I was worth.
But you're also, by the way, you're still a young lad, and I say this because you are how old now?
27.
Shut the hell up. So, no, we talked about that was when we first met, and I was like,
Come on, dude, you're like 12.
J-Dog, 27, 27 in the house.
27. Oh man.
No, seriously, when I met you, it was like
we don't feel old at all.
You told me your
Brian?
age. I was like, oh God, why am I doing this? And I waited too long. Seriously, I always say that. I've waited too long to play.
I know.
Yeah. But no, you always, then you think about it. It's never too late until what? You're in a box in the ground. It's way too late. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can't really say that either because I've always done music.
Right.
Whether it was like everything I was doing or not, you know what I mean?
Right.
Speaking of
I will say some days I miss Farm Fresh, you know what I mean?
There's security.
Oh,
there's security.
I miss their chicken.
Yeah, there's that. And, you like me, by the way, I do want to segue in and say a little bit about this. You like myself are you're a single income household, which means this is how we live. This is not our hobby. This is not we don't placate into something else. Yeah. And it's truly our choice. I mean, we could go work at Farm Fresh, 20 hours a week or 30 hours a week if we wanted to, but you are also a father. You're raising your son.
Wow, your father.
Yeah.
Single father.
Single father. Yeah.
How old is your?
He's 4.
Oh.
So playing music for a living, I think for guys.
Check it today. Sorry.
No. I think it just means a lot to us. In other words, and we put a lot into it, and not that the guy who's got a day job doesn't, but I'm just saying that it's like, one of the hardest things.
It's a self-sufficient based income. You have to stay on it.
You have to push it. You have to.
And if you don't stay on it, you'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
Very well put. Did you hear that, kids? One of the hardest. I was going to ask you earlier. I thought about this. What do you think one of the hardest things in music for you is? For me, it's going to bed at 1 a.m. and staring down the barrel of 3 gigs in a row the next day when it's 105 degrees outside. But
see, that's my least favorite thing is the heat.
Yeah, or just even 3 in a row, 3 gigs in a row, which I've done.
I have done
at my old age. Yeah, and it's not fun.
I mean, it depends how fun we're talking.
Well, there we go. It makes a good deposit on Monday.
But yeah. But here's the thing, though. What is a little self-deprecating for myself is I'll play all weekend and do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which can be tough sometimes, but it's worth it in the long run. But I will say, if you don't take care of yourself, this job will have an impact on your sanity.
Mentally and physically, both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I keep thinking this, I know I'm young and all, but I think about this sometimes as how long can I sustain doing the way I'm doing it now?
I'm saying this right now.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm saying it right now.
How long can I sustainably
I'm saying
play
it right
all
now.
over creation 5 nights a week while raising a child by myself? That's I feel like you said, staring down the barrel. I'm like, I guess, do it as long as
you'll do it as long as you have to.
You really got to try not to worry about that.
That's
what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
You deal with today.
Yeah.
You deal with today.
That's something I have learned too, especially almost being sober for 3 years.
Congrats to that, by the way. Yes.
You deal with things one day at a time, especially in this business. Because I do get overwhelmed sometimes. I'll be looking at my calendar, and I was booked for the year by November of last year.
We talked about
Yeah.
this. Yeah. Troy's the kind of guy who like
booked for
he
the
just takes a
year.
day or a week and goes,
But-
"I'm gonna book the entire year."
But I go through my calendar sometimes, flipping through it. I'm like, holy crap, how am I going to survive this? You know what I mean? And,
I've been there.
But you do. And
How
then
am I
you
gonna
go
survive
out and
this
you
week?
buy a nice smoker, and
Right.
you can afford $40 tomahawk steaks on
Right.
a reverse cheer. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Well,
it's
it's the physics equation. Everything that is in motion stays in motion.
Right.
It's
that too.
absolutely, you have to.
I hate
You
to
know.
cancel a gig because of either illness or
Oh,
something's
God.
not working
You know,
or
I
our
will
back is
say-
out or whatever. I hate to cancel a gig.
I have been
But I have.
super
Yeah.
lucky. I haven't
Healthy.
been sick since last summer.
It's beautiful.
Don't know how.
It's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe because you're not
Those
drinking.
angels.
Well, I wasn't drinking last summer either, but I don't know. I think I had a bout of COVID or something back then.
Yeah.
I had some.
Speaking of that, I'm going to bring this up. One of the last times I saw you, and that before you cleaned up and got sober, that you did have this cough that would not go away. Remember that?
Damn.
Now,
Makes
remember
me want to cough again.
No. So you had this cough that would never
See?
go away. I kept going to
You
myself.
brought it
Yeah.
up.
It was crazy.
Well,
I even called your attention to it one night.
I was a smoker up until I think you had met me. Like it was probably a month after I quit smoking
Okay.
completely. For like I don't know. I was also a smoker until I had started up again various times,
Okay.
And every once in a while I'll bum one from Bell.
I'm not judging or
but-
condemning,
but
as a singer,
but it is an occupational hazard, and if you're a singer and you smoke, I highly recommend you stop
yeah.
because
Or playing those smoky rooms.
well, that too. I mean, I'll
Not anymore though.
If the
Yeah.
money-
Now they've
if-
changed the rules.
yeah, well, if the
but it
money's
used to
there,
not be
well,
like that.
I still play Sandbar. Shout out to Sandbar.
That's out there in
Newport News.
Newport News.
Yeah.
By the way, I also do want to say the fact that if you look at Troy's schedule demographically, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, he's like, "Oh, I'm in Duck today and this place tomorrow." And I mean, I think
Yeah,
I
this
traveled.
past week we were in Duck. I went to Northern Neck 2 days later. Saturday we were in Virginia Beach. Yesterday I played at Pillsburg.
Really?
So,
Montrose,
Montrose.
like the band.
Northern Neck
Right.
Barbecue. Shout out to my friends Jewel and Ben.
He's telling me the queue is awesome. So yeah, but no, he is literally all over the board. When I say all over the board, I mean that. I would say on his pick and his logo, he has a picture of a Roadrunner, and I asked him about that, and you said to me,
That was a bolo tie that came from my grandmother's house when she passed.
Right.
That belonged to my granddad, who I never met. Died when I was 2 weeks old, 67.
Mhm.
And he smoked 3 packs of bombs a day, not
Uh-oh.
filters, But I named my son after him,
Gene Arthur.
Gene Arthur.
Yeah.
Granddad Gene Arthur Hackey was his name.
Okay.
So I named my son Gene Arthur Cash.
Ah.
And
Like-
the tie into Johnny Cash, I think we were getting to it,
Yes.
too.
Yeah. There was a time.
Johnny,
yeah.
Johnny Cash,
Yes.
supposedly, like, here's the thing. I wrote a song about it and everything. Hey, we're doing an interview over here, man.
Bless you.
Hey, dog
Bless you,
sneezing.
bless you. I'm kidding. See, I gotta believe my dad, right? My
I
dad
would.
tells me a story. I gotta believe him.
Yeah.
I
Even
mean,
if there's no photographic evidence,
right.
Because
You have
my
to.
grandparents weren't the type of folks to whip out the camera when folks came through town. They were the type of folks to invite them back to their house for breakfast. And my grandparents they were in Tucson, and they were tight with one of Gene Autry's banjo players or something. A guy by the name of Dempsey. My dad actually used to take guitar lessons from. And they had VIP tickets to every country music show that came through town because of that connection. So they had folks like Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Loretta Lynn, all those folks coming back to their house at 4 a.m. for breakfast
Heavy hitters.
Ah,
after the
that's
show.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's really
and back in those days, people were still people, back in the 60s and 70s. So
There was no social media.
there was
Yeah, there's no selfie.
and it must have been the
There's
early
not.
60s too. My dad was a very small child. My dad was about Gene Arthur's age,
Oh wow.
Wow.
And
Huh, that's maybe where the roots come from, eh?
honestly, it's really a weird coincidence with all that knowledge that I became I kind of felt, in a way, I felt like my family belonged in country music somehow, and I needed to kind of
Right.
carry that mantle. So that's another. It's a coincidence, but not
Right.
that I felt the need to bring that out in my music, because like I said, my roots really didn't begin in country music at all. When I was in middle school, I was listening to Bon Jovi every day. You know what I mean? Shout out to Mike Belmar. And then Bob Dylan sort of came into the picture, and then came Hank Williams, and then Johnny Cash. I mean, shoot, dude. When I was into Bob Dylan, I was confusing Pete Seeger with Johnny Cash.
Well, I could see that.
As a 13-year-old kid,
right? Yeah, I could see that.
And then eventually, it really stuck with me more in high school.
I was going to say, what back to some of your songs and your inspiration. What inspires you to write songs? You mentioned to me a song one time, and
oh God, I think I know where you're going with this.
The Colonel.
Oh yeah, the Colonel.
The Colonel. Yeah, that was.
So when we were still living on the South Side, I had a friend from community college. I went to Tidewater for a couple semesters. Someone I now call Aunt Val, and I used to just hang out in her garage and drink illegal beer, and we would just jam out. I would just jam out. It was a place where I could bring my songs a lot, and I actually wrote a few of my songs in her garage at the time, down on Hummingbird Lane.
That's very cool.
She lives in Florida now.
And you were how old at this point?
I was like 18, 19.
Very cool.
And I honestly just hang out there all the time because it was just a safe place to hang out and be a human. And they had some friends staying with them who were supposedly in like recovery, trying to get clean and whatnot. And there was a story that they had spent all their drug money on Kentucky Fried Chicken, and they asked me to write a song about it. So I did.
And the name of the song is
"The Colonel Saved My Life."
Well, I guess you've got $10 left and a dime bag of.
Well, you're going to spend a lot more than $10 on heroin.
Right.
That's so I've heard.
I've heard.
Yeah, but I think they got a big bucket. I think they got the family deal.
Family size.
And yeah.
And this song can be heard on YouTube as well.
There's a version of it on YouTube. It has another song. I'm really lazy when it comes to the studio. I really need to get on that.
Dude, that's just the title.
I've got a couple records worth of music I'm sitting on right now. I'm just waiting for the right time to do it.
I did share a YouTube link to your Road Rage and Propaganda.
Politics and Road Rage?
Politics and Road Rage.
Sorry.
It's okay. You're new here.
What does that have to? What?
Wait a minute. Road Rage, Propaganda. Sorry.
Have you ever had road rage, Troy? Have you ever experienced? I mean,
no
even
comment.
on the way on no comment.
No
Okay,
comment.
we'll leave that alone.
Let's just say I've put 86,000 miles on my Honda Odyssey in 2 years. So
I'm thinking there's maybe
a few days that we're not comfortable on the road for me. Yeah.
Do you know what helps doing drum solos?
I don't do drum solos anymore.
But drum solos help when you're driving.
Oh, is drum solos
Just
and euphemism? Never mind.
while you're driving, you just take your hands off the wheel and
You just do this, and then it takes your whole mind off of.
I like podcasts now.
Oh, back to podcast.
Shout out to Heart of Barbecue Wright and Malcolm Reed.
Hey,
I don't know if we need to pay to say that, but
right.
I don't know.
We should hashtag all
shout out
these.
to
By the
Kill
way,
Tony.
all these Kill Tony.
I love Kill Tony.
What
do you listen to Kill Tony? Does anybody hear?
Anybody out there? We got any?
All right, somebody out there does, and
Somebody out there that
And
is
we're no
listening
longer
right now
friends.
listens to Kill Tony.
My son's friend had one. The Good Times Are Killing Us. Have you ever heard that one?
no,
It's a local one,
yeah,
and they're your age.
okay.
Yeah, actually they're a little bit older.
Yeah, since you're 27, they're probably 28.
My son's friends. They have.
Yeah,
It's a pretty good one,
27 is such a weird age
isn't it?
because you spend all of 20. I feel like you spend like 21 through 25 like deciding what you're going to be, and then you spend 27 looking back on all the ways that didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Wait till you.
I know.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell you.
I'm just not going to say a
It's
word. I'm
it's
just going to sit here and just like
Well,
listen
I
to you.
plan to be happy by the time I'm however old.
By the way,
No, then there you go. You need to be happy today.
I know.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So that's
I'm working on it.
Stay in the
Working on it.
present. Be
Working
happy
on it.
today because you don't know about tomorrow.
Speaking of
I am 27.
27.
27. I know.
Speaking of today, we did want to mention we are here at Back Bay Brewing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Beach house.
Beach House. Excuse me.
We're at the beach house.
The Beach House. And they do live music here. They do acoustic music here. They also have bands here. And I think do I have a band? I have a band that's going to
Do
be
you have a
playing here.
band?
Something. Yeah.
Oh, you have a band?
No, I've been overshadowed and what do you call it? Marginalized for years as a band. But yeah, we're actually playing here on the 26th, which is great.
The 26th of August.
Of August, yeah.
Okay.
Little shameless plug there.
Yeah.
By the way,
y'all
I'll be
come
at
see it.
Ballyhoo's that night, so if you want to go there instead of here,
I would go to Ballyhoo's
I'm
unless
just-
you like loud
that
guitar
was-
music.
that was a rough.
I'm bringing an old Fender Strat 2 band.
Oh really?
So yeah.
Okay, go to his.
By the way,
I'm gonna
8.2. This is dated 8.2. I love
Yeah,
it.
that was frozen on 8.2.
I love the fact that it's actually, he a
So
good
here's the thing
smoker.
about pork. I
Yeah.
wasn't raised on it,
Right.
right? So I don't exactly trust
Oh,
it
true.
the way I
I
do
guess-
chicken and beef.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah
I get
guess.
scared of it. I feel like, honestly, to me, raw pork is the grossest thing on planet Earth. But I love cooking. You know.
Ah. Do you eat it?
Oh yeah,
Well,
yeah.
He smokes it,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Well,
I just make sure I'm making sure by November 2nd I'm throwing that away
Got it.
if it ain't eaten. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just in general, I don't know, but I date my beef the same way.
And of course, this was smoked at a internal temperature of what, close to? What did you finish it at?
I smoked that to 195, and then I let it rest in the cooler for 3 hours because they say it climbs temperature. I just wanted to try it, and it worked.
And we talked about the rest
But
factor, like a steak or anything else.
Oh my goodness,
It's amazing.
it's insane! I couldn't believe that sat in a cooler. So I put a towel on the bottom, you know,
Yeah.
and I wrap my butts. Sometime I haven't tried it unwrapped. I'm gonna try it eventually.
Just do one wrap.
Do it unwrapped. I'm gonna
Okay.
try it eventually because they're so cheap right now.
Right.
Dude, I think gas went up and butts went down. They really did.
Yeah, you can find them at 99 cents.
And for some reason, shout out to Food Lion, they have amazing meats right now.
That's not the quote of the show, but anyway.
They have a lot of briskets right now. At Food
Yeah.
Lion.
butts, aka shoulder. By the way, termed the pork butt is not
Yeah, the
What
pork
you
shoulder.
think? Yes, a
It's
shoulder,
called the
but
Boston butt because
Boston butt. Go ahead.
back in the olden days
We
in
don't have some
America,
pretty people on here.
they kept their pork in
Barrels.
barrels called butts.
Yeah.
And that was a New England term for it.
Correct.
Actually, it was a British term.
Pretty strong.
Yeah. And so that's
So
where the
everybody,
term
and
Boston butt.
we all hear that.
See, okay, they're stealing my content for my cooking show. I'm just yeah. Okay.
You have a cooking show? I know nothing
I'm going
about you
to.
either.
Okay, I'm going
Oh, okay.
to.
Well, not if I do one first.
Hey, don't you-
Oh, musicians
Do you
cooking.
heard that?
Jubacue.
You heard that?
Jubacue.
I had an idea.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
That might be a food truck at some point. I don't know.
Jubacue.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, I have this dream of, and here's the
I
thing.
have questions
love
on
pulled
that,
pork,
and I can't.
but I have a dream of an all kosher barbecue truck.
Okay.
And I'm talking like
Pretty cool.
pulled beef, pulled chicken, heck, pulled lamb. Let's try that.
Why not?
In the style of pulled pork, you know, like I'm giving away ideas here, but who
Hey
cares?
y'all. Shh.
I'll have a brisket, beef spare ribs. Oh my god,
Bro.
endless possibilities.
Salivating right now.
You don't
Yeah,
even need
don't
you don't
steal
need
this
pork
idea.
on a
Q
barbecue
over at
truck.
Pitt County, are you listening? Yeah.
If you want to
We
collab,
love you, Q. We
if
love
wanna
you, Q.
collab, Q.
Yeah.
Text me back.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. We just did the different bunny trails.
Yeah,
So-
I know you're doing my cooking show.
Well,
I know.
anyway, as I was saying, meats are really cheap at Food Line right now, and it's great because before a couple weeks ago you couldn't find a Boston butt anywhere
Yeah.
because of the holidays.
They go through phases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a butcher because I wanted a nice one. I went to that butcher on
Himself?
Bridge Road.
Oh, that
Jeb
one.
Meats.
Yeah. Yeah.
You been there?
Mhm.
No, I've heard of it.
I wound up getting an eye around that I really screwed up. I should have. I tried cooking it like a brisket to 205.
Ooh.
Low and slow. That's what the butcher told me to do. So shout out to
Okay.
Jeb for messing up my eye around. You're not supposed to cook eye around to 205. You're supposed to cook it to
Too
125.
tough? Oh, way too tough.
I mean, it wasn't tough necessarily. It was still tender,
Uh,
but it wasn't juicy and roast beefy. You know, it was
Gotcha.
more like
But tri-tip. I just posted a video on tri-tip today.
You
I call it the
post-
poor man's brisket. I did not one I smoked, but it was one I pulled offline.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of letting people know that I call it the poor man's brisket. It
I just
kicks
did
a third at a
tri-tip.
time.
Well, I think
Oh.
if you're not hungry, you're hungry now. Afterwards,
Yeah.
and
I was
you
cool
know,
vegetarian.
for my tri-tip, but
critical computers guy. He's
By the way,
over there.
critical
He's out-
computers.
He's like, hey, can I have some? He's starving.
Good to fast.
well, we
I
can
know.
defrost this barbecue. Does anybody have a pot of
Yeah.
boiling water?
Boiling water in what 10
I
minutes
see
will be
mine,
straight. Yeah,
Yeah. So you do that way.
exactly what I do. 10
Dude,
minutes
it's
in
the
boiling
best
water.
way to.
It comes. It came right off the smoker.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Shout
that
out
fresh.
again to Malcolm Shell Reed. I learned it.
You learn from Malcolm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 10-minute frozen and that's the beauty of having a food
But
saver.
I don't get what he says. Like he likes to see. Here's the thing. I love the process of pulling the butter bar too much to freeze it in chunks.
Okay.
Apparently,
He said
freezes-
freeze it in chunks.
Yeah, he freezes it in chunks, and then when he
Oh.
defrosts it, he pulls it then. I don't know, man.
I'm
Because
like
I like
you.
to go through. I like to go through it, and I wear
What's
gloves. Don't worry.
your,
I saw
what do
your
you guys
nitrate.
do?
We have
Now
a
that we're
picture of
talking
you
about-
with his gloves on. Yeah.
So
I like to go through and make sure there's no unedible fat or veins or anything. You know,
Right.
After, and I do a good deal of trimming too. You know, because
By the way, we like fat cap up,
fat cap up.
mustard as a binder, and always a
I
dry.
haven't used mustard yet.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. That's
I
always
have
been my
no
favorite.
idea what
I
you're
used
talking
Killer
about.
Hawk.
They're not
Shout
talking
out to
about
Malcolm
music,
Michelle
they're talking
Reed.
about
Killer
Yeah.
Hawk's barbecue. Had a barbecue right.
How we got on? How we got on the state
How
report?
How'd you get on that? I
We-
don't
we-
know.
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. So, do you play guitar? What do you?
No,
What,
I'm just kidding.
keyboards? What are you doing?
I play guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Professionally, I play guitar and harmonica,
Okay.
but I'll play anything.
And by the way,
Okay.
he plays quite well. He plays very well, and
Play a little
like I said, he's
banjo
more
at
than
home.
just. Yeah, in other words, like you facilitate the instrument very well outside of just being a singer. You know, I just want people to know that as well. I mean, listen, the first time I heard you play, I was like, just harmonically what you were doing around the context of the song, I was like really inspired by, which is why I fanboyed you over at New Realm. I'm like, who are you? Where have you been all my life? What's your name? And this was probably like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was like 5 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, Troy Breslow, yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's back when you had a beard and longer hair.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with being an accountant now.
Well, I just.
Okay. Do you
well, it's
wear
funny
a
'cause
cowboy hat? I mean,
sometimes I have a
Yeah.
Stetson. It's just too hot for it. This
I
is my
get it.
go-to hat. This is shout out to my boys in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and Druid City Brewing Company.
Okay,
If you ever-
You played there?
I played there several. I used to play there a lot when I was living in Nashville.
okay,
That was my Alabama spot.
all right.
All
Back to
right.
playing all over. This guy, he's 757, but he's also much beyond. He's got a history and a resume well beyond.
That's awesome.
One of your favorite, one of your favorite gigs or favorite people you ever opened up for? I don't know. Do you have like a
Oh,
list
man.
or
Oh, dude!
Go ahead.
Last December, I got to open up for Chris Knight. You ever heard of Chris Knight?
no? I'm on the lost.
He's him and John Prime were friends. You know John Prime?
Yes, of course.
Him and John Prime were buddies. Chris Knight, he's from Slaughters, Kentucky. He definitely on the Americana side of things, kind of a Steve Earle type. you know.
Okay, gotcha.
And always done things his own way, very underground, and a lot of respect for him. I was so nervous for that show. Oh my goodness! And now, yeah, it was a really cool time. That was at Elevation 27. Shout out to Paul and Judd over there. Good people.
Yeah.
Good club.
Yeah, elevation. Well,
Yeah.
there we go. Yeah.
There you go. So, you open it up for anybody coming up?
Not right now.
No.
I'm also very selective about who I want to open up for.
Ah.
Because we were talking about this before we went live here. There's two sides of country music, and it's not even necessarily a political thing so much. It sometimes is, but it's a stylistic thing.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I'm not gonna be a jerk if Morgan Wallen calls me tomorrow and says, "Hey,
Can't,
can you open up some of these dates?"
can you
'Cause
change my strings? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
but it's not necessarily what I'm gunning for. I'm looking for people like Sturgill Simpson, wherever the hell he is now,
Right.
Shout out to Righteous Gemstones. He's a great actor too, man.
Right. Right.
So, if we opened up your playlist right now, like
On Spotify?
iTunes, yeah, on Spotify, what would be in there?
Probably people you've never heard of.
Okay.
Willie Carlisle, Adeem the artist,
And how do you hear about
Tyler
them?
Childers, of course. Well,
Is the question.
so shout out to Adeem Maria Bingham. They're my favorite, one of my favorite songwriters right now, and kind of a buddy of mine. They are a non-binary country singer from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Wow.
And Tyler Childers, road manager, produced and manages their career.
Huh.
And they've opened up for Jason Isbell, Ray Wiley Hubbard, the Mountain Goats. Who else? American Aquarium.
Oh wow, love American.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian Schultz turned me on that. He was on the show, by the way. Yeah.
In fact, BJ Barnum kind of discovered Adeem a
Okay.
little bit too, because Adeem has a song called "Wish You Would Have Been a Cowboy," which is Toby Keith trash talk song,
Right.
talking about
Oh gosh.
how Toby Keith made millions off of white trash rednecks
Right.
and turned all of them into like a parody, that is made fun of by real country artists like me and Adeem, who are actually kind of in the sticks here. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not sitting on a mansion.
Truth.
We're in the backyard barbecuing and
You're definitely at background.
And being inspired by real life, stuff. Yeah.
living
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Like
Going
you
through
said.
hard stuff. I mean, like I just said, non-binary country singer. I mean, if it wasn't tough enough being a Jewish country singer, I can't imagine what Adeem goes through on a daily basis.
Good point.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wrote a song about this too, kind of. I have a song. It's actually my newest song I've written. I haven't done a whole lot of writing this year, but I have a song called "Are There Any Other Jew Boys Singing Country?"
Are there
And you can-
any other Jew boys singing country?
And you can find that on my YouTube channel.
That's the name of the song.
I had a down-home country raising in Virginia. I left my home one day for Tennessee, and they paraded me around a smoky ballroom because I was the very first Jew boy they'd ever seen, which happened in White Pine, Tennessee, at a place called Bud Sports Bar.
Oh my goodness.
And that was an uncomfortable situation because I'm very open about my Judaism. You know what I mean? I don't really walk into places afraid of things. I don't believe we should,
Sure.
Right.
But then again, you don't walk
But
around.
he wasn't violent towards me. He just paraded me around the bar and said, "Hey, he's a Jew," and it was
That's crazy.
it was interesting.
Very similar to when I first started playing guitar. I used to go out to a lot of the open mics that were a place like the Mark IV or Sugar Ray's, and because I was the only white guy in the room, they would get me to play that funky music, White Boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was like it was almost like an act.
Right.
And it's like, oh, well, let's bring on the MC would bring me up. Oh, let's bring Brian on with his guitar to
But
play.
that's kind of funny.
It is pretty funny, yeah. And then I'd break in a voodoo child in front of him, and they would all,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like what? Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, shout out to Big Rob. You remember Big Rob? Anyway, over at Sugar Ray's. You're making me do the shout outs now.
Yeah,
You just
man.
reminded me of that. Anyway.
I listen to so many podcasts, you know what I mean? So everybody does shout outs on podcasts.
Okay.
And this is a podcast, right?
Yes, it's a podcast.
So shout outs are important, okay?
Shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Anybody else you want to shout out to in the music community? Friends, family, promoters.
Yeah. Do you go out and see anybody local?
Shout out to Rockstar Booking for
RSB.
hooking up the band with some band dates.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're definitely starting to see some full band dates
And it's
come back. Like COVID knocked. Before COVID, I had a 6-piece band booked for an entire year.
wow.
And then we downsized to 3, and then eventually started adding 4 and sometimes 5, And it's starting to see a surge of band gigs really starting to come back. So
That's very
good.
nice.
shout out to Rockstar Booking, More Music Group over there. And
Didn't you just play Rivers Casino? The
Yep.
Rockstar, speaking
Yep.
of RSB? Yeah,
Mhm.
very cool.
So
Was that-
if
was
you
that-
had a downtime, what local band would you go see?
Ben Lassiter has a band called Lassiter and the Weeds. And
Okay.
they play Western Swing and honky tonk, and I love that band.
Great.
Very
Yes.
cool.
I'll check
Shout out
them
to
out.
Ben.
Check them out.
I love Cody Christian too. Cody's a good guy.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
The guy who does my merch, Tim Brown, Mason Brown and the Shiners,
Mm-hmm.
him too. I go see him at Yorktown Pub every Tuesday every now and then. So,
Okay. And by the way, do you ever go to the Stuffed on Newport, the Hampton side? Is that Hampton Stuffed?
Yeah,
They do the
yeah,
open
yeah.
mic.
We used to play there.
It's in-
I actually hosted that open mic before
Okay.
Patrick did. And we were playing in the Outer Banks every Thursday, and it just got to be too much for the full band. But yeah, I was the last host of Don Butcher's Tuesday Night Choir.
Wow.
Oh,
Before
Don
COVID.
Butcher.
Remember that?
And then after COVID, we tried to rebrand it a little bit, and it just didn't work. And shout out to Patrick; he's doing a great job hosting that jam now, which is no longer the Tuesday Night Choir, but still is very successful.
Now the
Where-
Tuesday
where's
night jam,
that
it's Stuffed.
It's Stuff.
Yeah.
It's Stuffed.
So is
Shout out
that
to Casey and Alex Haas, the owners of Stuff, good friends of mine.
is that a
was
is
just
that like
there
an
on
acoustic
Sunday.
thing or a
Oh
band?
no,
thing?
that's a full band.
Good.
jam.
So I can bring an amp. I can bring my old tube amp and
Oh, yeah.
Strat and just
Mhm.
and plug in and go on a Tuesday.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know because that's
And
also
Paul Warren hosts.
Paul Warren.
Yeah, and yeah.
he's invited me a few times. I'm
Oh
always like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm always like, man, it's driving over across the bridge. I sound like a little wimp. Yeah.
It's funny. We had this drummer fill in for a little while from upstate New York, and during that storm where the tornadoes hit,
Yeah.
I was on the way to Chesapeake, stuck in traffic, and he was on the way to Suffolk. And the first time I heard him complain about the traffic, I couldn't help but bust out laughing. I couldn't help it. It was so funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to mention, where are you from? New York? Yeah. Right.
Right. Buffalo.
Mm.
All right. Anything? I know we got a couple more minutes.
We got a couple more
Yeah,
minutes.
we got just a couple more.
Anything? Okay. I always like to kind of do like maybe for a few different questions. If do you feel like you're doing exactly what you intend to do with your life right now? Or is there anything else you'd rather be doing other than being a full-time musician? Yes or no? Absolutely
I
not.
can't get a better job.
Yeah, you can't get a better job in the world.
I really like we were talking about earlier. I really try to take things day by day because in this business, like you'll be opening for Jason Isbell one day, and then you'll be playing a local brewery the next. You know what I mean?
That's
And a lot of people ask me what my goal is,
Huh.
and when I'm going back to Nashville, and when I'm going to try out for American Idol, and all these things.
I
Right.
know
It makes me so uncomfortable because I don't think about any of that. You know what I think about on a daily basis is making my rent.
Bingo.
Yes.
Hello.
So if we want to ever
I think about
share
how many t-shirts I'm
anything,
selling, you know what I mean?
even the most is not to tell them, oh, so when do you think you're going to make it? Like those are the
Yeah.
rudest.
Hey, buddy, I'm paying my rent, I'm raising my kid.
Yes. We have
Right.
back to
I
one
just bought a smoker. I'm
one
making
income
it.
family. They're
That's
a
right.
one
Made
income
it.
family.
That's right.
So I feel like I've made it.
Yeah.
I feel so blessed. No, I tried the Nashville thing out, and I had to come back. And sure, do I wish sometimes I could take off somewhere and find a geographical cure? Yeah, who doesn't? But like,
Yes, but even those people don't find the
I know,
happiness that
exactly.
they think that they're going to find.
Right.
I remember being very unhappy when I was living in Nashville because I was doing what I was doing now there, except it was a lot harder because heck,
There's
I was
something
driving to Johnson City and back in one night. I was driving to Springfield, Missouri and back in one night.
Hold
and
on.
then the next night I
Johnson
was going
City, Tennessee.
Yeah, Johnson City, Tennessee. Yeah. I was going all over the map. I didn't play in Nashville,
Right.
And a lot of people that moved to Nashville, very rude awakening sometimes because I played on Broadway maybe 3 times in a year.
Wow.
And even that was lucky.
Well, I call it like being here. You
I
can
always
be a
go to
bigger fish in a
scoreboards.
smaller.
Scoreboards.
There's scoreboards out in the
Where's that?
out by the Opryland.
God, I haven't been in Nashville in so long. I just did a trip to Knoxville earlier this
Mhm.
year, which was my first return to Tennessee in about 3-4 years.
Yeah.
That was
I
cool.
really like that place. Like they've got a country line dancing place, and they've got the band,
yeah.
and then they've got 2 more,
Right.
right there across from Opryland. I like it around Opryland. I don't know. I
haven't really
gravitate
been down
towards
there.
them.
I always went on Broadway. My favorite place on Broadway is Legends Corner.
Yeah.
You ever go there?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been to
I've never been to Nashville in my life.
What?
Never.
Oh yeah,
Never.
I've been.
We might
I
have to
love
hop
it.
in the Honda Odyssey.
What were we
Yeah.
waiting on?
Yeah,
Stay
man.
at that one hotel at Hampton Inn. I think it's at the very end.
Yeah,
It's got the best prices and it's the best location.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know anymore.
And I hear you've got like.
I know how to get to my old apartment in Murfreesboro.
I hear you got like.
Nashville's a cool town. It is to visit.
Yeah.
Right.
Visit.
But when you've got like. I heard like somebody was describing an open mic out there. They're like, yeah, there's an open mic going on, and you've got like Toby Keith slide player with the bass player from
Oh, yeah.
this band,
It's
and
crazy,
the top
man.
notch, some of the best.
Randy Travis's bass player works Broadway every day.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah. So I mean, how do you like,
I actually got to play, believe it or not. I did a set at the Nashville Palace one time. Not the Nashville Palace, Layla's. I did a couple songs at Layla's. I was pissed drunk. Oh my God. And I was so drunk that the lead singer of the band that I sat in with took me out back and gave me a talk about my cockiness, which was, yeah. I guess I needed to hear it at the time.
There you go. And it sobered you up to what you
But I got to play with one of Ray Price's old fiddle players. Ray Price, dude. He's one of the godfathers of country music.
Yeah. And there you were, right in the heap of it, right in the middle of it.
Wow.
There's a picture of it somewhere on Instagram, but at the real Troy Breslow.
Yes, and share your socials.
Yes, please share the
where
socials,
can
and
they
also
find
where
you?
and where
All
can we
the
listen to your
socials,
music
or-
as well?
I'm on Spotify. I've got a couple records on Spotify. If you want to hear my newer songs, stuff that really is like more prevalent to my life, go to my YouTube channel at the real Troy Breslow. I've got a few videos from a recent show I did there at the coffee shop in Portsmouth.
Okay.
Okay.
The real Troy Breslow. Why?
Troy
Was there a
Breslow.
fake one?
That's my personal Instagram account. You can follow that as well, but you'll have to request.
So, as a matter of fact, I remember
At the
on
fake
your
Troy
IG,
Breslow.
you were trying to like
Right.
redirect
and
people
he
to
needs
it. and
more subscribers on his YouTube, just saying. So if you're watching
Yeah.
this, go subscribe to his
I need to
YouTube.
start pushing more shorts.
Just saying. I already put in the links, one of your YouTube videos, which I won't, embarrass myself again. Politics and road rage.
There we go.
So there you go.
Oh boy.
So follow him on Instagram, all the socials. We got to help these local people, to get more exposure and go out and see him in person.
31st Street stage on
Every night,
Wednesday.
yep.
On
Yep.
Wednesday.
Wednesday at the 31st Street stage.
What time?
6
You
to
guys
10
start?
p.m. with full band.
Full band.
Thursday, I'm at Two Drummer Smokehouse in Tuano. 6:30 p.m. solo. Friday, I'm at Strange Ways in Richmond, Scott's Edition. Saturday, I'm at Sandbar.
What, Sandbar?
Don't come to Sandbar.
Okay, well, I'm saying that I'm just giving people like a geographical
Okay.
because you're all over.
I have
Newport
one more
News.
question. So if somebody were to ask you to play something, what would you play if they asked you to play something for them?
Like anything?
Yeah, anything. Like what would be your
like your
pick?
go-to.
I like two of my favorite songs right now to play are two of my newest songs, originals. Do we have time?
Yes.
We have a little time?
Yeah.
You
Okay,
do.
so
You do. That's
I
why
wrote a song. Now I wish I brought a guitar because you haven't even heard this song yet.
No.
When I was about 8 years old, I went into foster care for about 9 months. I had a rough upbringing, and everybody's family has their stuff, So
Right.
me and my sister went to foster care. We were kept together, but it was probably one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. And I finally, just this past year, started writing about it in my music. And we were put into a Baptist daycare. And at that, a few months in, somehow the discussion came up that I didn't believe in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And 8-year-old Troy is told that he's going to hell. He doesn't accept Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. So I wrote a song called The Gospel of Jesus Christ.
Mm.
When we came back home from foster care, we prayed with my mom and my dad. And I said, in Jesus' name. And that didn't go over very well with my mom.
Right.
Because she had no idea up until that point that I was, influenced by this. And, I have no problems with Christian people or Christianity or anything like that. My grandmother on my dad's side was a Baptist.
Okay.
My dad wasn't Jewish growing up, but yeah. So I was put in foster care. It was in a Baptist daycare. I found Jesus and I brought him home, and my mother lost her mind. I said they told me I was going to hell for being Jewish because I didn't believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ. And you can find that on my YouTube channel, by the way. That song. And it goes
pretty powerful.
Yeah, and it goes in the other verses tie in my fatherhood and my childhood, all of it.
Wow.
And it's one of the most in-depth songs I've ever gotten to, and as far as my actual real life experience goes.
So being a songwriter is like therapy. It's like
Oh, absolutely.
It's your creative outlet. Of
Yeah, but I'm also in therapy, so maybe that gets in the way of the songwriting
Right.
a little bit.
Well, there is a book out there for artists. I don't know if you've ever heard of Van Gogh Blues.
Okay, I thought you were going to say
It's a-
songwriting for dummies because
No.
I have read that.
No. It's an actual
Shout out to
like
Four Dummies Inc.
Creatives. It's a
What's it
really
called?
Van Gogh Blues. And
Okay,
it's really good.
I have a
It's
song
a
called
really
Picasso.
good mental. Huh?
I have a song called Picasso.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I only named it that because apparently that's a Zoomer expression, Gen Z.
Oh.
Whenever something's cool, they say Picasso.
Okay.
Oh.
And my friend, I was at my best friend's house in Gloucester, and I played him the song. He's like, "Man, you should name the song Picasso." I was like, "Why?" Because it's Picasso. And I was like, so now every time I play the song, I'm like, this song's called Picasso, but it's not about Picasso. That's just the name of the song. We just got to wait for it to come around on the guitar again.
By the way, he did write a song
wow.
called "I Lost Her in Gloucester."
I
No,
lost
that's-
her.
that-
and
It's just the
lost her.
title.
It's just an actually.
Title,
I think
idea. Is that an idea? I lost her in Gloucester.
sometimes I'll use that when I play OD in Denver.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
Oh,
Wow. We
It's a tough crowd out here
a little
today.
around the
Yeah.
throw on this
Yeah.
one, but yeah. Okay. Any closing remarks? We are at the end of our time.
Follow me on social media at The Real Troy Breslow. We need more people supporting live music, and we need more people supporting original music in
Yes.
Hampton Roads. If you like me from this interview, you can go to troybreslow.com/merch. And yeah,
get a shirt, get the
shirt.
pick, get the CD, get
That's right.
get Breslowed out.
I got
That's right.
2 trucker hats left. Somebody buy them.
2 trucker hats. There you go.
How much
All
want
right.
to buy them and just give them away as gifts to the viewers? Oh,
Hey,
let me
meet me
think.
at the van,
We'll talk about
Oh,
it.
Got
They're making a
beanies.
deal. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in tonight.
Thank you so much.
And if you watch us on the replay, #replay and say hi to us, we'll say hi back. And please follow him on all the
Troy
socials.
Breslow, by the way, thank you for your meat, Troy.
You're welcome, sir.
All right, you guys, thank you very much.